I got new stationery! Good evening, everyone. Although most specifically, good evening, Professor Harris. Professor Harris, you sent us several videos in place of our class on Tuesday, and I thought it would be fun to reply to you in the same way, that is, through video. I've actually done a bit of vlogging before, so this is quite a fun mix of hobby and homework for me. For anyone else watching this video, allow me to explain. I am talking to this person about this poem. This person being one of my English teachers, and this poem being the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. To the rest of you, I apologize for that. I just really wanted to make this video. It's all I could think about since I got up this morning. Oh my god, I'm such a nerd. To the 3 subscribers that are left watching my channel, I did go to Pacific International Quilt Festival this weekend, so hopefully I can have footage of that up for your enjoyment. But it is a really big quilt show, and so hopefully I can show you how big the world of quilting actually can be. On to actual things now. This video is meant to present to Professor Harris my OS, my out-of-class essay. It doesn't actually have a title. In place of that, I use an image. Wait, there it is. This image was drawn by one of my friends several years ago, but I feel that it sort of embodies the image that T.S. Eliot was kind of describing when he talks about the fog. That stanza being, the yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. Lines 15 through 22 of T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock are exemplary of Eliot's denial of romantic and Victorian viewpoints, and uphold the poet's ideal of self-conflict and dark irony. By turning the fog into a feral sort of creature, Eliot has taken an element of nature and verminized it as a way of blasting away the romanticized ideal of nature as a grand and awe-inspiring event. In order to show his dislike of the popular subject of Romantic-era poetry, Eliot chooses to allude to the element of fog as a stray and dirty animal, something that a romantic poet would not want to touch, let alone anyone else. Thus, nature has been made into something undesirable, the capital N of the sentiment brought down from its lofty and over-romanticized heights and shown in some ugly, unkind truth. The Romantics are contradicted by this display, and Eliot shows that nature is hardly beautiful, especially from an industrially revolutionized point of view. Likewise, by turning the fog into any sort of creature at all, Eliot demonstrates his disregard for the mid-Victorian critic John Ruskin by liberally applying the pathetic fallacy to the image of the stanza. Though it is true that the vorticists blasted away the entire Victorian era, Eliot seems particularly careful to make sure that Ruskin's theory especially is obliterated. The image of sentient fog takes up the entire stanza as a blatant allusion to Ruskin's pathetic fallacy, undermining the critic's lecture to poets on avoiding the folly of committing the fallacy in the first place. Here, Eliot is consciously employing the fallacy of pathos as a way of being sure that Ruskin is forgotten and left to his blasted age. On the flip side, the same stanza is put to use to uplift Eliot's own poetic ideals, the primary being the gloomy tone of the entire poem. Being one of the first images among the stanzas, the literal case of bad weather is employed to settle the reader into a gloomy outlook. That gloom runs the length of the work, supported by many other dreary images throughout the poem, and ending in the off-putting note of drowning. This is the conscious theme of the poem, as Eliot is attempting to evoke an uncomfortable feeling in the reader, which he sets up by surrounding the reader with dirty yellow fog and maintains throughout the poem. The same image of fog as gloom also juxtaposes the title of the work, as it is clear that this poem is not the love song of anybody. By putting the ideal of a love song into the reader's head, and then ripping it out again, Eliot is actually challenging the definition of thematic ideas of poetry. The ideal love song is more of a Romantic-era notion, a trope that the vorticists leave behind in their proclamation that art comes down to the individual. By throwing away the definition of a romantic love song and substituting his own, Eliot invokes his right as a vorticist to be an individualized poet and to define his own terms. An example of another vorticist theme is that of self-struggle. In the stanza, Eliot turns his fog into some stray creature, and elicits from the reader a sense of struggle between guilt at the animal's state and the selfishness of not giving that animal shelter. Vorticists employed this theme in their work as they themselves struggled with conflicting emotions of the human condition. Eliot in particular makes use of this theme in the struggle between sacrifice and selfishness. Though fog may be a simple and common element of England, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock uses its image with an astounding versatility. From blasting away romantic and Victorian ideals and definitions to building up vorticist themes of gloom and self-struggle in their place, this short stanza is a resounding example of Eliot's individualized poetic freedom and defiance. So, there it is. I hope you enjoyed it, or something to that effect. I hope by now you're still watching, I guess would be the biggest thing. And, I hope it made sense, most of all. So, with that, I bid you all good evening, and, I have no clue how to wrap this up. Anyway, I'll see everyone in class on Thursday.